Today we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but most importantly, we're going to be talking about Stacks and how the VC Tim Draper is investing in Stacks. We've recently seen other big investors, notably Druckenmiller, also having an allocation to Stacks. It said STX. I can only assume that's Stacks, along with other things in his portfolio. So now you got these big VCs coming in, allocating. Now, I've been making videos about this for a while, right? I said Alex is the only institutional grade DeFi protocol that is worth investing in, I think, period. It's connected to the chain. The Bitcoin ETF will lead to American investors going more towards Bitcoin because of the regulatory uncertainty. We see that with ETH. We see that with the beatdown ETH is having against Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about all those things. So if you like what I'm saying, like and subscribe. I love you so much. Let's get into it. So for the last year and a half, I've been saying, ETH Bitcoin is going down. Everybody's wrong. It's not going back up, right? I don't erase what I've been doing here. So if you've been following, I continue to think this will go down because of regulatory uncertainty, because the chain is not doing things correctly, right? Stacks is doing it correctly, right? It's not bloating the base layer. They're going to be using SBTC, which is a decentralized thing. We've debunked that you don't necessarily need to have smart contracts on the base layer, even though OpCat is trying to make it more so that way, in order to have a decentralized pegged Bitcoin that can function as a currency, right? So you don't have high fees, the speed is improved, so on and so forth. So we could talk all about that later, but we continue to see ETH Bitcoin go down. I think this will continue to go down until ETH gets more clarity in regulatory clarity. It continues to or it offers a new product, right? NFTs were hot last cycle. There is nothing on ETH right now that is hot, other than maybe real world assets, right? Which is ORNJ Finance, right, which is connected to BlackRock. I do think you maybe should have a small allocation to ETH and ORNJ, right? I said the L1s like Solana. But if that narrative can pick up, which I don't think it has, everyone's talking about real world assets. I don't think it's picking up the way they say it is, right? Then maybe this reverses course. So I continue to think this will be down only. Now, Tim Draper invested in Zest, which is a DeFi protocol on top of Stacks. Now, this doesn't have a token yet. I hope they don't release it on an exchange like Valar did, which was complete nonsense. I hate Valar, even though I have an allocation to it theoretically, right? Because it is DeFi protocol on top of Bitcoin and Stacks, right? That layered approach. I do think he has an allocation to Bitcoin. I think he has an allocation to Stacks, right? Stacks is a decentralized smart contract layer, so he doesn't need to announce, right? This is a DeFi protocol or a business on top, right? So if this is a security, this is more like a security than Stacks is, which is kind of just like a smart contract functional layer. Now, Binance Lab is also investing in it, right? Now, I tweeted today, and I've been talking about DIKO a lot because the price has been absolutely down only. I'm not sure why. But DIKO holders are going up. USDA is going up. Now, what you need to remember is Zest partnered with DIKO on USDA and Stacking DAO's STX, the same programmer, Philip, who does both of those. So look at that, right? I don't think DIKO necessarily has to prove a lot, right? If it can get integrated into these big VCs, they've got a lot of money. And one of my friends today, Fractured, to go follow him on Twitter, Fractured Data, he actually said, hopefully he can invite some of his billionaire friends over. So I do think that's going to happen, but a lot of people are not going to tell you they're allocating, right? I've been saying this in a lot of videos. They don't want to tell you where they're allocating because they are doing this for the long term, I think, right? All the other ones that they allocate, and they pump it up, right? Those are pump and dumps. They're trying to get people to buy in, like on ETH, like on Solana, and they hold a lot of the supply, and then they dump on you. I think they're doing these small investments because they continue to believe that this is maybe more of a long-term hold. This is more of a quality. This is where society is going, right? So that's a possible explanation. I don't know for sure, but that's the way I look at it. And it's high risk, right? Smart contracts on Bitcoin are not necessarily a big thing at this point, right? So smaller allocations they will up it after they see success, right? So other things, Sovereign is also partnering. So you can see that these DeFi protocols on Bitcoin are actually gaining traction. Now, I've been saying for a long time, my thesis for this bull run is Bitcoin DeFi, right? I've talked a lot about TRAC, Tap, Ghosty Cash, Orange Wallet, Sovereign, Stacks, DIKO, Alex, Valar, all the Bitcoin vertical, Bitflow Finance, Zest when it comes out, right? Now, whether this is a left translated cycle, meaning we just pump extremely hard to the left, it's more of like a traditional cycle where the halving comes, it takes a while until we go up, or which is I'm starting to think is the most likely outcome is we have maybe 5 to 10 to 20, right? Pumps, pullbacks, over the next 4 to 5 to 8 to 10 years, right? And we never get a real structural winter, right? Like we'll have bear markets maybe, but like a real structural winter instead of this huge pump up. I think it could take longer until that $10 trillion mark, and then we, maybe have a winter then. I'm not sure on the structure. Everybody wants to claim left translated. Everybody wants to claim right translated. I think the Bitcoin ecosystem is developing, and it could see pump up, come back, pump up over a longer period of time. It doesn't have to be this massive run up like we saw in 2017 or like we saw in 2021, right? Those were all structurally different. This one may be completely different. I'm not convinced yet that it's a left, that it's a right translated cycle, whatever all the crap they're all talking about. I don't think it matters. Now, in other news, Roaring Kitty posted this, which means pay attention. It is my best guess. He's been tweeting all day, clues that maybe he's making a return. Maybe there's another stock. Maybe it's GME. The meme coins on Solana have pumped. If you've been following me for a while, I said a long time ago, you might be want to hold these things because if the meme coin super cycle is around, right, I think, Best Buy, BlackBerry, GME are all going to pump at some point. It's revitalized, whether that's sustainable or not. If you did have an allocation, if you want to sell or not, I don't know. But I told you. Okay, so just be careful. This is not part of a main theoretical portfolio. Okay, but now I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I like, right? Meme coins, ordinals, right? And these are very important, right? Because this is obviously a pivotal part of this cycle, right? The meme, right? Drawing in new capital, getting the casino up and running, right? So real protocols can have an infusion of cash, in my opinion. So the first thing I tweeted is the yen trade is not over, and I'm not talking about Japan. So the same thing where we saw earlier 4 years ago with GameStop, and I said, okay, these meme coins are resurfacing on Solana, right? You have to imagine what could resurface again, right? If you look at the headlines, last week Japan had a crash, right? You could see that this has been down only since this chart started on here, TradingView, since 2020. It's been down only since 2015. Just completely obliterated. If you remember last week or the week before that, Japan had to sell a crap ton of treasuries or liquidate some type of asset in order to save the yen from collapsing completely. So I do think this will be a central theme. I think this is an important meme coin. That's my logic behind it. Again, I'm not going to be playing favorites too much on meme coins because I got into a bit of trouble with that with Welsh, even though Welsh is down only, and I would have saved a lot of you. I don't have control over Welsh. Everyone puts too much weight on me on that. And look, Welsh is down only. Now, to be honest, Welsh might be bottoming because the sentiment is finally on the stance that I agree with, like down only. I mean, that community is absolutely hot garbo right now. So maybe look into Welsh. I did not think about putting that on here, but I might be starting to think about adding that to a theoretical meme portfolio. Again, that is just gambling. I don't have to go through all the risks with that, not financial advice, obviously. The Bitcoin runes that I like, if you look, the only real green ones, there's a few, but Mr. Yen, the Japanese businessman, right? So this is the one that I like and that I'm referencing in this tweet. The yen train is not over, and I'm not talking about Japan. I've been saying this on Twitter, saying Mr. Yen works hard. He loves his son. I love this meme. I think it goes central to the absolutely huge macro trade going on in the world right now, which the yen finally going on. I listened to a podcast with Lynn Alden today about nothing stops this train, right? And that's about fiscal dominance. Japan is finally seeing the repercussions of fiscal dominance. The U.S. is entering fiscal dominance, which is basically the Fed doesn't have any control anymore, and it's just wherever they point the fire hose in the government, who gets money, so on and so forth. And then we all know what happens, which is economic suppression, financial suppression of the public, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to get into that. It's a little bit too political for me, but I love this meme trade. The other thing I tweeted today, I don't know if you guys can understand this. I'm not going to say it, but I do deep down in my meme heart believe nothing will flip Welsh, right? If you just have to kind of look for it through a second. Nothing flips Welsh, okay? I think this will happen. I think the Welsh community absolutely destroyed themselves. This is obviously the first meme token. They took that very personally. I think the community is in shambles. I continue to think it's in shambles. In fact, I think it's in so much shambles at this point that maybe we go down even further and then we start to pump back up. Until the community corrects itself, I think there's a real life to meme tokens, right? And you can see that all over crypto Twitter. Community dies, right? The meme token dies. So I think they've got a chance to correct course. If they do not correct course, I think it continues to go down. Only nothing flips Welsh in. But the most likely outcome is Welsh completely eats itself alive, destroys itself internally. So that's all I'll say about that. So I did that up again. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is Pizza Ninjas. I said I'm feeling some type of way after seeing Pizza Ninjas, this guy. So obviously they're integrating with gaming with this BitBoy 1. Right, they hinted at that by in the ordinals you could actually play the Nintendo NES or whatever it is. So I think I tweeted that Pizza Ninjas will be the first huge consumer. Why move? What the heck, man? Pizza Ninjas will be the first huge consumer ordinals brand worth $1 billion. Think Angry Birds, right? So I truly think that. I think this has an opportunity to be a real brand. I think you're sleeping on this. I think you're absolutely insane sleeping on this IP. I told you I feel like the next brand will be built on Bitcoin, right? It's not like an ETH NFT where it wasn't inscribed. It was on a kind of a database, right? All the legitimate projects should be burning over to Bitcoin. That is obviously the move for long term. I've been saying this a long time. ETH or Bitcoin NFTs will flip ETH NFTs. That's just the way it is. ETH is the test net. It's down only. Now, it doesn't mean I can't change my opinion. So that's where we are in the market. Stacks, right? Even with Tim Draper investing in it, still slept on. So chill, focus, and wait. The theoretical portfolio, the theory does not change. I've got a hunch, and my hunch is Stacks is going to continue to adapt. It's going to face all the challenges, right? Like if Covenant comes out with OpCat, they can adapt to that. They can adapt to anything because, and this is vitally important, the creator and the community deeply understands the culture of Bitcoin, right? They understand decentralization. They understand that you need to scale, that we need different solutions. They understand how important this actually is deep down on like a cultural basis. And that's very similar to like the values of America or some other country, right? This is a value system. What are our values? And I think Stacks has lasting power because of that. That's my opinion. Anyway, you can call me Hunch. I love you all. Have a great day.